You know that voice. The one that says you're not good enough, smart enough, successful enough. The one that remembers every mistake and dismisses every achievement. You've lived with it so long, you think it's just who you are. It's not. And today, we learn to take its power away. This voice in your head has been running your life for too long. It masquerades as motivation, as high standards, as self-protection. But it's not protecting you, it's imprisoning you. The good news? You don't need to fight it. You just need to understand it, name it, and learn to turn down its volume. Your inner critic is not telling you the truth. It's telling you a story that once served a purpose. Understanding its origins transforms it from a tyrant into background noise. Welcome to Chapter 1, The Beautiful Lie of Perfectionism. We've been sold a story that perfectionism equals high standards, that it's the mark of excellence, that it separates the amateurs from the professionals. But this narrative is a beautiful lie. Perfectionism isn't about high standards at all. It's about fear wearing a mask of quality. It's about hiding behind endless revisions because the alternative, finishing and facing judgment, feels too threatening. Today, we unmask this lie for what it truly is, not a virtue, but a sophisticated form of self-sabotage. Your inner critic has a recognizable language. It speaks in absolutes. You always mess this up. You'll never succeed. It makes comparisons. Everyone else is doing better than you. It catastrophizes. If this fails, your whole career is over. It uses words like should, must, and ought, creating impossible standards that guarantee failure. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to disarming them. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Perfectionism protects your ego by preventing real testing. As long as your work remains unfinished, it remains perfect in theory. It can't be criticized, rejected, or proven inadequate because it hasn't faced reality yet. Unfinished work lives in the realm of potential, where it can remain brilliant forever. But finished work enters the world of actual, where it will inevitably have flaws. Perfectionism keeps you safe from this vulnerability. It allows you to say, "I could have been great," rather than risking the possibility that you might not be. It's a sophisticated defense mechanism that costs you everything. Here's the cruel paradox. Achieving more doesn't quiet the inner critic. It just raises the stakes. When you succeed, the voice doesn't say, "Good job." It says, "You got lucky this time," or "Now you have to maintain this," or "This wasn't good enough." External validation rarely satisfies internal criticism because the critic's job isn't to celebrate your achievements, it's to protect you from the next failure. This is why high achievers often suffer the most from self-criticism. Welcome to Chapter 2, Why We Never Finish. Understanding the psychology of non-completion is crucial to breaking the cycle. At its core, our failure to finish isn't about lack of discipline or poor time management. It's about a sophisticated avoidance strategy. We've created elaborate justifications for why our work remains incomplete. But beneath these rationalizations lies a simple truth. Unfinished equals untested, and untested equals safe from judgment. Let's explore the psychological mechanisms that keep us stuck in the perpetual state of almost done. The equation is simple. Unfinished work cannot be properly judged. It exists in a protected state where criticism feels premature. "It's not finished yet" becomes your shield against feedback that might wound your ego. This safety comes at a tremendous cost, the cost of impact, growth, and contribution. As long as your work remains in development, you maintain plausible deniability about its quality. You can continue to believe in its potential brilliance without ever risking the reality of its reception. This is the perfectionist's paradox, seeking safety in incompletion while claiming to strive for excellence. Perfectionism creates a dangerous split between your potential self and your proven self. Your potential self is brilliant, capable, and successful, all in theory. This self exists in the future, once everything is perfect. Your proven self, however, has a track record of starting but not finishing, of promising but not delivering. Each unfinished project widens this gap, making it harder to bridge. The longer you wait to ship, the more pressure you place on that future potential self to be extraordinary. But here's the truth. You become proven through doing, not through perfect planning. Your proven self is built through finished work, even imperfect work. The strategy that once protected you now imprisons you. What kept you safe in a threatening environment now keeps you small in a supportive one. The voice that helped you avoid failure now prevents you from taking necessary risks. The perfectionism that earned approval now paralyzes you with impossible standards. Understanding this transformation is crucial. Your inner critic isn't your enemy. It's an outdated protection system that needs updating, not elimination. You can thank it for its service while gently showing it that you no longer need this particular form of protection. Welcome to Chapter 3, The Shipping Mindset. If perfectionism is the disease, shipping is the cure. The shipping mindset fundamentally reframes completion as the goal, not the byproduct of achieving perfection. It's about embracing the reality that great work isn't born perfect. It becomes great through the process of being released into the world and iterated upon. In this chapter, we'll explore how to shift from a perfectionist mindset to a shipping mindset, and why this shift is transformative for your work and your growth. In the shipping mindset, done isn't just a state, it's a feature of your work. Completeness adds value that perfection cannot provide. Done work can help people, generate revenue, spark conversations, and create opportunities. Perfect but unfinished work does none of these things. When you embrace done as a feature, you recognize that completion itself enhances your work's value. The ability to ship becomes part of your skill set, as important as your technical or creative abilities. This reframes finishing, not as an end to quality, but as an essential component of it. You cannot get meaningful feedback on unfinished work. Genuine insights come from people experiencing your creation in its completed form. Drafts and prototypes can only yield theoretical feedback. The shipping mindset understands that feedback is not judgment, it's data. It's the most valuable resource for improvement, and it's only available to those who ship. Perfectionism seeks to avoid criticism, but the shipping mindset seeks feedback as the fastest path to genuine improvement. Which approach actually leads to better work in the long run? The single most powerful truth in creative and productive work: iteration beats perfection. Version 1.0, released with flaws, will always outperform version 0.0, perfect in theory but non-existent in reality. Shipping creates a feedback loop that perfectionism can never replicate. Release, learn, improve, repeat. Each cycle compounds your knowledge and refines your work. While perfectionists chase an ideal that never materializes, shippers build through real-world application. The tortoise of consistent iteration always beats the hare of perfectionist paralysis. Welcome to Chapter 4, Practical Strategies to Finish. Understanding the psychology of perfectionism is valuable, but now we need actionable techniques to break free. These strategies are designed to interrupt the perfectionism pattern and create new pathways toward completion. They're not theoretical, they're practical tools you can implement immediately to start shipping your work. Remember, knowledge without application is just another form of procrastination. The single most effective strategy: set a ship date before you begin. Not a target date, not a hopeful date, a non-negotiable ship date. This creates a constraint that forces decisions and prevents the endless revision cycle. When you know the deadline is absolute, you prioritize differently. You focus on what matters rather than what would be nice to add. You make trade-offs consciously rather than letting scope creep silently expand. Public commitments are especially powerful. Tell people when you'll ship. Accountability becomes your ally against perfectionism. Define what good enough means before you start working. What's the minimum level of quality required for this work to achieve its purpose? What are the essential features versus nice-to-have additions? Write these criteria down and refer to them when you feel the pull to keep polishing. The good enough threshold isn't about mediocrity. It's about sufficiency for the intended purpose. It's a conscious decision about where to invest your limited time and energy. Most successful creators have an intuitive sense of this threshold. Perfectionists refuse to acknowledge it exists. Adopt the concept of minimum viable completion, MVC, from the startup world. What's the absolute minimum you need to ship to test your core hypothesis or deliver value? This isn't about cutting corners, it's about strategic focus. MVC forces you to identify what truly matters versus what feels important but isn't essential. Ship the MVC first, then iterate based on real feedback rather than imagined requirements. This approach dramatically reduces the risk of building something perfect that nobody actually wants or needs. Welcome to Chapter 5, Living as a Finisher. Breaking the perfectionism habit isn't just about completing one project. It's about transforming your identity. You need to shift from seeing yourself as someone who struggles with perfectionism to someone who ships work consistently. This identity change is the foundation for lasting change. In this final chapter, we'll explore how to build the finisher identity and maintain it for the long term. Identity change follows behavior change, but it also reinforces it. Start referring to yourself as a finisher, not a perfectionist. I'm someone who ships work versus I'm someone who struggles with perfectionism. This isn't just semantic. It's programming your brain to look for evidence of your new identity. Each completed project becomes proof that you're a finisher. Each shipped work strengthens this identity. Over time, your self-perception aligns with your actions, creating a positive feedback loop that makes shipping easier and more natural. Shipping like a muscle that strengthens with practice. Start small with low-stakes projects to build your shipping confidence. Ship something imperfect this week, then next week, then the week after. Each successful shipment, no matter how small, strengthens your shipping muscle and weakens perfectionism's grip. Focus on consistency over scale initially. The goal is to create a pattern of finishing that becomes automatic. Like any muscle building, there will be discomfort initially, but with consistent practice, shipping becomes easier and eventually natural. Shipping creates vulnerability, and you need strategies to handle the discomfort that follows. Remember, criticism of your work is not criticism of you. Prepare mentally for feedback, both positive and negative. Have a plan for how you'll process responses. Many perfectionists avoid shipping to avoid this vulnerability, but finishers learn to sit with discomfort and process it constructively. The vulnerability you feel after shipping is evidence that you cared enough to create something meaningful. Honor that feeling rather than run from it. The next time that voice speaks up, and it will, pause. Notice it. Name it. Ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this what I would say to someone I love? You don't have to believe everything you think. That voice is loud, but it is not you. And you get to choose which voice you follow. The inner critic will always be part of your internal landscape, but it no longer needs to be your guide. You've developed other voices now, voices of compassion, wisdom, and encouragement. These are your true allies. Remember this, you are the curator of your inner world. Just as you choose which external voices to listen to, you can choose which internal voices to amplify. Your inner critic had its purpose, but its time as ruler is over. Today, you begin a new relationship with yourself, one based on kindness rather than criticism, on growth rather than perfection, on self-compassion rather than self-judgment. This is your birthright. This is your new normal. Start today, start now, with one small act of self-kindness that your inner critic would never allow.